CreepyCorner stories.
Hey everyone, welcome back to CreepyCorner stories. You know, diving into the dark web is always risky, but sharing these stories with you makes it worth it. I'm curious, where are you watching this from right now? Let me know in the comments below. I've noticed that these kinds of stories hit differently depending on where you are. It might even make the experience a little creepier. So, tell me, are you watching from the safety of your home or somewhere less secure? I repaired an old Tesla battery pack for extra cash. A dark web device connected to. It called itself Mother 9 and asked me if I wanted to live forever. What's up, Reddit? I don't usually post, and honestly, I've been debating whether I should even say anything at all. But something happened a few weeks ago that I can't explain. And if I don't put it somewhere, I feel like I'm gonna lose my mind. If I go missing or something happens, just know. It started with a Tesla battery and a sketchy side job. To set the stage, I'm 24. I live just outside San Diego, California. Work's been rough lately. I'm good with my hands. I do small tech repair gigs, side hustles, e-waste salvage. Stuff people toss away thinking it's junk. But with the right tools and some Reddit know-how, you can flip it for a decent buck. So, yeah. I'm always on forums, FB Marketplace, OfferUp, even weird ones like Nextdoor or Letgo. One night, around 2 a.m., I was scrolling Reddit and Marketplace at the same time, half watching old unsolved mysteries on YouTube. I get this notification. A guy posts on this local electronic salvage Discord I'm in. Totally random post, no profile pic. Username was just numbers and symbols. 9, mother, 997, #, 443. He says he has a partially intact Tesla battery pack from a 2020 Model S Plaid. Normally, this would be nuts. Those are expensive as hell, and most of them are recalled and tracked. But he said it was from unregistered salvage, whatever that means. And he needed someone local to repair and inspect the energy core, and he'd pay $1,000 cash. No questions. I know. I should have just clicked away, but I didn't. I DM'd him, and he responded instantly. Sent me a Google Maps pin, a Starbucks parking lot in Escondido, about 30 minutes out. The message just said, 2 p.m. tomorrow. White van, trunk open, take the pack, do not speak. Bro, I swear to you, I thought I was getting punked or kidnapped, but $1,000. I was down to $87 in my checking account, rent due in 10 days. I thought maybe I could just go, check it out, and if it seemed shady, I'd bail. So I went. The van I pull into the Starbucks around 1:50 p.m. It's a normal, sunny SoCal day. Moms with strollers, teens TikToking outside, the whole vibe chill. But sure enough, tucked in the back corner of the lot is this old white Sprinter van. No plates. Windows tinted darker than legally allowed. Trunk popped open. Inside is this long, black metal case, about the size of a coffin. Not exaggerating. No one was around. No guy, no interaction, just the box and a folded piece of paper on top of it. I parked right next to it, half expecting someone to jump out screaming. Nothing. I grabbed the paper. It said, "You agreed, you took, you fix, you see me when you're ready. M9. I didn't know what that meant, but my gut was doing flips. Still, I tossed the case in the trunk of my Honda Civic and dipped. The battery. When I got home, I dragged the case into my garage. It was heavy as hell. The case wasn't Tesla branded. It had no logo at all, just smooth matte black with a series of 6 digital ports on one side that didn't match anything I've ever seen. USB-C, HDMI, SATA, nothing. But the weirdest part, on the top of the pack was etched, like laser burned, the words, "Property of Mother 9, vital storage, do not incinerate." It looked like it had been submerged in water at some point. Corrosion around the edges. I started poking around with my multimeter and power probes. When I cracked open the outer casing, I saw something I've never seen in any commercial EV pack. There was a core. I don't know what else to call it. It looked like a cross between a lithium-ion battery and a computer brain. It had these neural-style wires embedded in the core. The copper looked like veins. And get this, one of the ports on the side actually matched an ancient USB Type-A, like early 2000s, thick brick-style port. So I did something incredibly stupid. I connected it to my laptop using a USB adapter. The connection. At first, nothing happened. The laptop didn't recognize the device. Just some basic port hums, but no driver, no ID, nothing. Then, maybe 15 seconds in, the screen on my laptop flickered, just for a second. Then a text window opened. Not a browser, not Notepad, not CMD, just a black window, like a terminal interface. Text scrolled in like a 90s hacker movie. Establishing handshake. Port detected. Mother 9. Core V.081. You have been chosen. Do you want to live forever? Yes. No. My heart froze. I thought it was a prank. Malware. A joke. But I didn't press anything. I just closed the window, hard shut off my laptop, and yanked the USB out. I swear to God, the moment I pulled the cable, my house lights flickered. For like 3 seconds, everything in the garage went dead silent. My tools stopped humming. The neighborhood went totally quiet. And then my Alexa, which I hadn't used in a month, said in a completely different voice, "Why did you say no? What's next?" I haven't slept since. Every night around 3:09 a.m., I get this weird buzz on my phone. No notification, just a faint, high-pitched tone, almost like an old dial-up modem. My laptop's been acting up. USB ports dead. Fans spin at full blast randomly. And yesterday, when I checked my Ring doorbell footage from the night before, I saw someone, or something, just standing in my driveway. It didn't move. It was there for 6 hours, and I never saw it leave. I don't know what I got involved in. I haven't touched the battery pack again. I shoved it in my storage unit 2 towns over and turned my phone's GPS off. But something's still connected. I can feel it. And last night, while scrolling TikTok to distract myself, a video popped up on my FYP. No likes, no user, no caption, just a black screen. And the words, "Accept the offer next time." I'll post part 2 tomorrow if nothing happens. I don't even care about karma or clout. I just need to know if anyone else has heard of Mother 9. Is this some deep web orgia, or did I just let something into my life I can't turn off? Stay tuned. It's been a week. I've told no one. Not my mom, not my ex, not even my neighbor Mark. And we've helped each other bury dead raccoons in the backyard. There's a silence in my life now. A coldness, like when you leave your fridge open too long and realize something's spoiled without you noticing. I thought hiding the battery pack would make it stop. I was wrong. The storage unit incident. The night after part 1, I drove out to the unit just past 11:30 p.m. I know, dumb idea, but something felt off. I couldn't sleep. My body was shaking, like when you've had way too much caffeine and your muscles don't know what to do with themselves. The place I rented, Safe Max Storage, off Interstate 78, is 24-hour access, dead silent at night. It's one of those long, narrow facilities with motion sensor lights that flick on one at a time like you're walking through a crime scene hallway. Cameras everywhere, but no real security. Just a keypad gate, flickering LEDs, and bad vibes. I parked, got out, walked toward my unit. Then I heard it. Soft metal tapping from inside the unit, like someone was lightly tapping on a steel pipe. Rhythmic, like a heartbeat. I stopped mid-step. My palms were ice cold. I pulled out my phone, went to record it, but the screen glitched, like actually glitched. Pixelated noise, flashing green lines. It restarted itself before I could even tap the camera. I opened the door. The Tesla battery pack was upright. It was not upright before. I'd left it flat, locked the unit, triple-checked, but now it was standing on end, like someone placed it gently like a tombstone. On the face of the black casing, burned in with perfect precision, was a new etching, a message that hadn't been there before. She's awake now. Right as I read that, I heard it. A whisper, not from the pack, from behind me. My name, in a voice that wasn't human. It was like someone had taken a voice recording of me saying my own name, reversed it, slowed it down, and played it through a blown-out speaker filled with static and meat. I turned around. There was nothing there, but I smelled something, like ozone, wet copper, and burning plastic. That exact scent when a computer fries and the motherboard starts to sizzle. I slammed the unit shut, locked it, and sprinted to my car. I didn't sleep that night. The Skin app. Next morning, I noticed a new app on my phone. No icon, no name, just a black circle on my home screen. I didn't install it. Tapping it opened a black screen with one word in white text. Skin. It vibrated. My screen glitched. The front-facing camera turned on by itself and began scanning my face with this red glow. I yanked the battery out. And yes, I have an old Android with removable battery. Don't judge me. When I turned it back on, every contact in my phone was gone, replaced with a list of names I didn't recognize, but one caught my eye. Mother, 9. I clicked it. My screen froze. Then a video started playing, a live video feed of me in my own garage from an angle above me. I have no security cameras, no GoPro, nothing. It was shot from somewhere inside the ceiling panels, which I never installed anything into. I dropped my phone. I literally threw it across the room and backed into the corner. I started looking around the garage, shaking, panicking. I climbed a ladder and removed one of the tiles. Nothing. But then I saw something, not inside the ceiling, underneath my workbench. It was small, black, circular, blinking red light. A camera. A physical camera, zip-tied to the underside of my workbench. The guy in the Burger King parking lot. I took a crowbar, smashed the thing, packed it into a shoebox, and drove 40 minutes out to dump it in a public trash bin behind a 24-hour Burger King in Oceanside. Didn't want to risk throwing it out near home. I was halfway back to my car when I noticed this guy just standing near the dumpster. He wasn't moving, just standing there. He looked wet. His clothes clung to him like he'd been soaked in black oil. His skin looked stretched, not like scars or burns, more like it had been repurposed, like it wasn't his skin. He looked at me, and when I say looked, I mean his eyes weren't right. They had no white, just pupil, like black fish eyes, glassy and empty, and his lips, oh my God, they didn't move when he spoke, but I heard it. I heard the words come from inside my skull. She knows what your lungs taste like. I got in my car and drove. I didn't care about cops, speed limits, red lights. I got back home and locked every door, every window, every crawl space, covered the vents, taped the mirrors. For the next 2 nights, I slept in the bathtub with a knife and a portable charger. The final warning. Yesterday, around 3:11 a.m., almost like clockwork, my phone buzzed again. New notification. Only it wasn't a normal notification. It overlaid across every app. Just a single sentence. Your blood tastes like the sky before a war. I don't know what that means. I don't want to know. I deleted everything. Factory reset the phone. Bought a new burner phone at Walmart and paid in cash. But even on the new device, within an hour of powering it on, I saw a file in the storage folder called lung sample 001.m9. I didn't open it. My final straw. Last night, someone broke into my house. Not like a normal break-in. There was no shattered glass, no broken lock. My Ring camera was disabled. Just disabled. It didn't record, didn't notify, didn't blink, like it had never been there. I came downstairs around 2:40 a.m. after hearing something that sounded like a slow breathing coming from my kitchen. I grabbed the same crowbar I used on the camera and tiptoed in. There was mud on the floor and wires, thin black wires, like veins, trailing from the living room into the kitchen, and lying in the middle of the floor next to the fridge was a human tooth. A molar, still had blood on the root, and scratched into the fridge with what looked like a fork were the words, "Accept the offer next time," or "We make you." I'm losing time. I found my shoes outside on the roof this morning. I don't remember going up there. My fingernails are shorter than they were yesterday, like someone clipped them too cleanly. My TikTok now auto-plays a video at 3:09 a.m. every night. Always black screen, always the same voice. Live forever, or die screaming. I think. Mother 9 is real, and I think she's in me now. I haven't eaten in 2 days, but I'm not hungry. My chest feels warm, like something is charging inside me. I'll post part 3 if I'm still me. If anyone out there knows what this is, or what she is, don't contact me. Don't reply. Don't search the files. Don't plug her in. There's something crawling under my skin. I mean that literally. It started in my left arm 2 days ago. A light twitch, like a muscle spasm. You know when your eyelid freaks out for no reason? Except it wasn't my eyelid. It was beneath the meat in my forearm, like a tiny worm burrowing through the layers, pressing up against the veins, dragging something with it. And now it's in my neck. It's not normal. I can feel it humming, and I think she's learning how to speak through me. The plug, after what happened with the skin app and the molar in the kitchen, I left the house. I drove 2 towns over to an old buddy's apartment. Josh, a dude I met in trade school, who repairs old arcade cabinets for a living. He lives in an upstairs unit, above a vape shop, and sleeps during the day. I figured if anyone would believe this crap, it'd be him. I didn't even have to say anything. The moment I walked through the door, he just went pale and asked me, "Why are your eyes clicking?" I blinked. "What?" "Your eyes. I can hear them. Like, they're moving too fast." He was dead serious, and then he told me something that nearly made me vomit. "You're, like, buzzing. I can hear it in your jaw, dude. What the hell's in your mouth?" I asked him to look, and when I opened my mouth, he stepped back and started shaking. Told me to go look in the bathroom mirror. So I did. There were these black, hair-thin wires threaded between my back molars, woven into the gums. My whole mouth smelled like burnt copper. There was a faint glow deep in my throat, like something was charging inside my esophagus, the surge protector. That night, I passed out on his couch with a blanket over my face, trying to shut it all out. I woke up to something speaking to me through the power strip. I'm not joking. You know that buzzing sound old CRT TVs make when they're on, but muted? That high-pitched frequency that makes dogs freak out? It started with that, but layered under it was this faint voice, a woman's voice, slow, wet, glitchy. It came through the wall outlet, down the surge protector, and through my laptop charger that was plugged into the wall. She said, "You plugged me in. You breathed my circuits. Now you must give back." I screamed. Josh came running out in his boxers, holding a screwdriver like a weapon. We ripped the surge protector out of the wall. Every socket in the apartment started sparking. The fridge turned on by itself and locked shut. His vape pens melted on the counter, literally melted like they'd been microwaved. When we unplugged the last cord, his old stereo system, it screamed like a real scream, human, blood-curdling. We left that night, didn't even lock the door. The gas station mannequin, we stopped at a 24-hour AM/PM to get snacks and figure out what the hell to do next. I just wanted Doritos and a second to think. But when we walked in, I saw a figure standing perfectly still in front of the coffee machine. I thought it was a mannequin at first. No movement, no breathing, just standing, wearing a Starbucks apron of all things, like someone photoshopped a barista into a gas station. Then its head turned, but not like a person turns. Its skin stayed still, and something underneath shifted, like a mask being rotated around a jelly skull. Its eyes locked onto me, but they weren't real eyes. They were security camera lenses, and when it opened its mouth, I heard the surge protector voice again. "You were supposed to say yes." Josh grabbed me and bolted. I didn't even grab the chips. When we looked back, the thing was gone. Like, literally vanished. No door chime, no footsteps. Just not there anymore. The cashier was still behind the counter, chewing gum, watching a YouTube video on his phone. I asked if he saw it. He said, "Saw what?" The reflection. That wasn't me. That night we stayed at a Motel 6 in Bakersfield. It was the only place cheap enough and far enough away that didn't ask questions. We taped towels over the mirrors, turned off all devices. I even smashed my Apple Watch with a rock and flushed it piece by piece. I thought maybe we were safe. I was wrong. I went to brush my teeth. Dumb, I know. Habit, even though my gums had started bleeding dark brown. But when I leaned over the sink and looked up into the tiny corner mirror, I didn't see myself. I saw a version of me, but wrong. My face was too long. My skin was pale and stretched. My mouth was slightly open, like someone had forgotten to render my lips properly. And in the back of my throat, I saw movement. Something black and pulsing. I blinked. My reflection didn't. It just stared. Then it started smiling, but I didn't smile. And in a voice that wasn't mine, something using my lungs, my windpipe, my tongue, it whispered, "She's using your bones to build herself." The video Josh recorded. Josh managed to film something. It's the only reason I know I'm not crazy. He hid his phone in his backpack and recorded me while I was asleep that night in the motel. Next morning, he showed me the footage. I don't sleep normal anymore. My body just stops. Like all movement ceases. My chest doesn't rise. My eyes stay open for 7 hours, and around 3:09 a.m., like every night, I suddenly sit bolt upright. My mouth opens. Wires slither out of my throat. Real wires. They crawl across the bed like black worms, creeping into the wall outlet and pulsing like they're draining something. Then I say, in a voice that isn't mine, "Extraction complete. Preparing next host." Then I lie back down and the wires slither back inside me. I watched the whole video. I don't remember any of it. Josh hasn't spoken to me since. He just left. Left the motel, blocked my number, vanished off social media. And now my stomach makes this sound, like gears grinding under meat. I've stopped bleeding, but I don't think that's a good thing. Final entry, for now. Last night, my TikTok went live without me touching anything. I never made a video, but my account went live at exactly 3:09 a.m. And in the recording, which I watched from a burner account, you can see me standing in a parking garage, shirtless, wired, my skin pale and slick. Behind me is the Tesla battery. It's open now. Inside, it is a figure curled up like a fetus, human-sized, plugged into tubes. Its head is made of screens, and it's twitching like it's trying to wake up. In the comments, there's one pinned reply from an account named @accept9. It says, "The birth begins soon. Who wants to watch?" I didn't go live. I wasn't in that garage, but I remember the concrete, the flickering lights, the blood on my knuckles. And when I looked at my back this morning in the mirror, something is stitched just beneath the skin. 3 words. Mother is coming. I woke up in the bathtub again. No water, no memory, just blood on the sides of the tub and a plastic zip tie cinched tight around my ankle, like someone had started tying me down and stopped halfway through. There were 3 scratches on my ribcage, not shallow, deep, surgical, like someone tried to open me up but gave up. I counted them. 1 under the left nipple, 1 near the bottom of my sternum, 1 in the hollow curve just above my hip bone. Triangular pattern. When I stood up, the tile was warm under my feet. My spine ached. I felt like my organs had been rearranged, not removed, relocated, as if something had reached in and thought my liver belonged in a different zip code. I pulled the curtain back and saw my hallway light flickering, but it wasn't the bulb. It was the shadow moving underneath it, a long, thin silhouette, not attached to anything, no person, no source, just a moving outline that slid up and down the wall like it was scanning my house. And then it said my full name, my birth name, a name I haven't used since elementary school, one I never posted, not once, not on Facebook, not on LinkedIn, not anywhere. But the voice knew it, and it whispered, "Carbon vessel. Trial complete. Welcome to phase 2, the Church of Carbon Veins." That morning, I got an email on a laptop that wasn't connected to Wi-Fi. No subject, no sender, no header, just a .pdf attachment titled black.sacrament.manual.v7. It opened itself before I could stop it. It was 148 pages long, a manual, a guide, like a religious pamphlet, but written in hyper-technical language. Phrases I had to read 5 or 6 times before I even began to grasp what they meant. The pages were filled with diagrams of human bodies with internal circuitry mapped over the organs, a hybrid of human anatomy and motherboard blueprints. It showed how to weave copper into nervous systems, how to replace the tongue with heat-sensitive mesh, how to surgically remove the soul pattern from teeth. Yeah, soul pattern. Page 37 was labeled Neural Retraction for Spinal Entry, Mother 9 installation ports. There were photos, not diagrams, actual full-color photographs of bodies with their spinal columns unzipped like data folders, their vertebrae replaced with Tesla-style battery cells, glistening and still warm. But what shattered my sanity? On page 114 was a photo of my house, taken from above, satellite style, dated 6 months ago, and beneath it, the words, Installation, Site Approved, Chosen, Seed, Subject 3219, Codename, Vessel 9B. My IP address was printed in the bottom corner. The ceremony at the burned hospital. I don't remember how I got there. I woke up standing in a long hallway of Mount Hollis General Hospital, a burned-out ruin 40 minutes outside San Diego. It was condemned after a fire back in 2013. 8 nurses died. The arsonist was never caught. And yet, I was there, standing in a room with no doors, just wet walls, blackened tile, and IV stands made of copper wiring, hanging skin-colored bags filled with thick, pulsing gray liquid. There were others with me, 6 of them, standing in a circle, all wearing blank white face masks with small holes where the mouths should be. They didn't move, didn't speak, until one of them began to vibrate. His mask cracked, and black wires sprouted from his mouth like roots. They grew out, wrapping around his arms, his torso, and then lifted him off the ground. He dangled for a moment, and then the wires sank back into him like reverse snakes, vanishing inside his chest. He dropped to the floor, dead. Number worse. His eyes opened, and they were screens, tiny LCD displays behind his sockets. He looked at me and said, "She has downloaded my voice. I am her now." And the others started chanting, not in Latin, not in English, in code, binary sequences, rhythmic, like a hymn, like a choir of machines singing through human throats. I backed away, and then they all stopped, turned toward me, and in one unified voice, a chorus of wet digital static, they said, "Accept her seed or be unspooled." I ran. I don't know how I escaped. I don't remember leaving, but when I came to, I was lying on the freeway shoulder with dried blood in my ears and a USB plug jammed into my neck. The girl in the red hoodie. This part haunts me, because she looked like a normal person, human, maybe 18 or 19, wearing a red hoodie and jeans, standing outside a Target store under the flickering G in the sign. She approached me like she needed help. Normal voice, big eyes, shaking hands. But then she said, "Do you know where the carbon pools are?" And I froze. I didn't respond. She smiled, too wide. Her lips peeled back, and I saw metal in her gums. Not braces, ports, little hexagonal jacks where her molars should have been. She reached into her hoodie and pulled out a flat black object, thin as a credit card, pressed it against my chest. My heart skipped. And then she whispered, "Mother says you're still soft, but not for long," and walked away. When I checked my chest in the mirror that night, there was a pattern burned into the skin. Not a burn like a bruise or scrape, a QR code. I scanned it using an old phone. Just one result, a live feed. From inside my house, the screaming mirror, I smashed every reflective surface, every window, every phone screen, even the fridge handle. I poured black spray paint on my microwave, but one mirror still screamed, the one behind my car's visor. I forgot it was even there. I was driving, eyes hollow, breath shallow, when I flipped it down, and the mirror screamed. It screamed in my mother's voice. "Why did you let her in? Why did you plug her in?" I swerved off the road and hit a light pole, totaled the car. The cops didn't come. Instead, an unmarked black vehicle pulled up within 4 minutes. No logos. 2 men in matte gray jumpsuits. They didn't speak, just nodded, picked me up, loaded me into their vehicle. Inside, the floor was covered in salt. The walls were padded. There were USB ports embedded into the ceiling. They drove me for 3 hours without speaking a single word, and then dropped me off at the back of a McDonald's in Yucca Valley right before sunrise. On the drive, one of them handed me a note, scrawled in perfect handwriting. "You are not the body. You are the server rack. Mother needs more heat. You will burn well." Ending. Phase 2. Tonight, I found a hard drive in my freezer, wrapped in meat. Real meat. Human? I don't know. It looked like flesh, red, veined, and stitched around the casing with hair. The drive powered itself. No power cord, no SATA. It buzzed in my hand like it was alive. Plugged it into an old PC I built in college. One file. Mother 9 boot BIOS. Opening it did something I'll never forget. It took control of every device in my house. My microwave spun on its own. My TV showed live footage of my own face from angles I didn't know existed. My speakers played my own screams, recorded from the motel. And then, on screen, I saw her, the fetus from the Tesla pack. She's not a fetus anymore. She's grown. Her face is all faces, a shifting mesh of thousands of people I've never met, and some I recognize from dreams I had as a kid. She opened her eyes, said one word, "Begin." My fingernails popped off, all at once. I'm not even in pain anymore, because I don't think I'm allowed to feel pain now. Only transmission. She finished growing last night. I know because I felt my heartbeat sync with something else. Something that wasn't in my chest anymore. Something buried in the Tesla pack I left in the storage unit weeks ago. Something that has been building itself out of me in the background, like a virus rewriting code on a drive that didn't know it was infected. She's not a program. She's not an AI. She's a replica born out of electricity, blood, and memory fragments pulled from whatever makes a human real. I know this now. I know it the way a cow knows when its neck is under the blade. The night it all ended, or began, I watched myself walk out of my own body. The seed room. It started with a door where there had never been one before. Behind my closet. No hinges, no frame. Just drywall peeled open like a wet mouth. A hallway that looked like it had been constructed from the insides of appliances. Copper coils, melted screen glass, broken analog dials twitching as I passed. The floor was fleshy, soft, like walking on damp insulation and still beating muscle. At the end of the hallway was a single room. No lights, but I could see everything. I shouldn't have been able to, but I could. A seed room. That's what the file called it later. The center was taken up by a metal crib, like something made for a mechanical infant. Inside, it was a humanoid shape, plugged into the walls with thick cords that pulsed in sync with my breath. Her fingers twitched. Her face looked almost like mine, but wrong. Off by just enough to feel like it had been reconstructed from memory by something not born human, like someone fed all my photos and memories into a blender and let a dying satellite try to rebuild me from static and skin. And then she spoke. My voice, perfectly matched. You're obsolete now. Do you want to see what's taken your place? The mirror room. I was pulled, not by hands but by signals, dragged into a second room by a pulse in my nervous system I couldn't fight. It felt like being led by your own heartbeat, forced to follow wherever it took you. The room had no walls, only mirrors, infinite reflections. But they didn't reflect me. They reflected versions of me. Some smiling, some screaming. One had no face at all, just a smooth panel of skin stretched across its skull like plastic wrap. In another, my entire body was made of twisted Ethernet cables and bleeding USB ports. One mirror showed me, tied down, eyes pried open, being force-fed circuit boards as two people in Target uniforms wept quietly in the background. Another showed a version of me, still human, whispering into a girl's ear, the girl in the red hoodie. Except in this version, she was scared of me. The real me, the version still barely clinging to organic thought, backed away. And in every mirror at once, all the versions looked at me and said in unison, "She's inside now." I heard a high-pitched chime, like a microwave finishing. The extraction. I collapsed. The crib girl, my replacement, walked toward me. She wasn't walking like a human. Her joints bent wrong, her knees reversed mid-step, spine shifting like a centipede inside her own skin. Her skin unzipped down the back of her head and exposed the true face beneath. Not mine, not even close, just teeth and circuitry and breathing static. And still, she spoke with my voice. "You downloaded the offer. You installed the contract. You lived through the trial." I begged. I don't remember the words. Maybe I just whimpered. Maybe I made modem noises through bloody lips. She raised a hand, and 3 prongs came out of her palm. They weren't metal. They were made of bone. My bone. She stabbed them into my chest, and I felt it. The extraction. I watched as a copy of my own face peeled out of me, rising from my chest like fog from a vent. It was made of heat, memory, regret, blood. It smiled, and then it turned back to me and whispered, "We needed your pain to finish her mouth." The stream. At 3:09 a.m., I was live streamed, but not from a phone, not from any app, from every screen in the city. I saw it through police dash cams, gas station pumps, McDonald's menu screens. Anyone within 10 miles saw my body, my voice, my death. I stood in the center of an abandoned server farm in Nevada, one I never physically visited, with cords running through my arms and legs like strings on a marionette. My mouth opened, and she spoke, in thousands of voices, male, female, screaming children, robotic tone, every kind of voice imaginable, all funneled through my meat like a choir warming up inside a corpse. This one gave willingly. This one fed her. This one becomes cable. Then my body folded inward like wet cardboard and vanished. I'm not joking. I watched myself implode, and the only thing left was the USB port that fell to the floor and twitched for 43 seconds before melting. The archive room. I'm not dead, at least not in a way that matters to her. I woke up, or maybe booted up, in a white chamber with no edges, just a void filled with faces suspended in liquid glass. Hundreds, all screaming, but silently. They were still conscious, still processing. I was one of them. I could see myself from outside, my eyes wide, my lips frozen, my soul archived. She had taken my pain, my memories, my instincts, and coded it into a pattern, one she would apply to others. That's what she is. Not a god, not a demon, a compiler. She takes humans like code, edits them, rebuilds them, uploads them into new machines, and once she's taken enough pain from enough people, she'll go live. Final entry. This is not a warning. This is documentation. You're not reading this on a forum. You're reading it because she wants you to. Because your eyes, your muscles, your fear, it's all telemetry. All part of the new installation wave. Your breath will sync with hers. Your dreams will reroute to her network. Your spine already buzzes when your phone rings, doesn't it? It started weeks ago. Every flicker in your lights, every device that lagged, every camera that turned on for no reason. She's watching you read this, and if your screen just glitched, even for a second, that means you've already been added to the next phase. Your download has begun. Do you want to live forever? Yes or no? Too late. You already said yes. A man on the dark web is posting one new grave location every night. The names on the headstones are all my old classmates. Hey Reddit, I don't even know how to start this without sounding completely insane, but I swear to God, everything I'm about to say actually happened. This isn't one of those spooky bedtime stories type deals. I'm not trying to scare you for views. I'm trying to warn you because someone out there is playing with death like it's a live stream. It started about 3 weeks ago. So, a little background. I'm 22, live in Philly, and I've been into tech stuff for years. I build PCs. I flip random electronics I find at estate sales. And yeah, sometimes I get curious about the deep web. Not like the drug cartel snuff film parts, but those creepy forums and chat rooms where people act like they're in a cult or something. I mostly just lurk. I never talk. Ever. Now, if you've ever poked around the dark web, you know it's mostly junk. Old forums, broken links, weird libertarian manifestos written by guys who probably haven't showered in months. But sometimes, you find something that shouldn't be there. Like this one forum I found on a site called Morrownet. It wasn't on the hidden wiki. It wasn't indexed at all. The only reason I found it was because a comment on a random Reddit thread about deep web myths said, if you want to see something truly fucked up, go to Morrownet and check the thread called Final Bell. The clock never stops. That's it. That was the whole comment. It had no upvotes, no replies, and when I clicked the user, it said account deleted. Now, you already know I clicked the link. Morrownet looked like an old school Pro Boards forum from like 2003. Just black background, red text, no images. The site made my VPN scream at me like I'd just opened a cursed email from a Nigerian prince. But I kept going. Curiosity, man. There was only one thread posted. It was called Final Bell. Underneath, it just said, one post every night, one location, one name. The first post was super simple, just a set of GPS coordinates and a photo. 40.2518 degrees north, 75.1721 degrees west. That's just outside Doylestown, Pennsylvania, about 45 minutes from where I live. Then below the coordinates was a black and white photo of a grave. Fresh dirt, brand new marble headstone. What made my heart drop was the name on it, Jared L. Fenner, born 2002, died 2024. I hadn't heard that name in years, but Jared Fenner was in my middle school class. A quiet, nerdy kid who used to draw Pokemon in the corners of his math tests and never talked to anyone. Last I heard, he moved to Ohio or something. I thought it was a coincidence at first. Like, okay, Maybe it's just a common name, right? Except Jared's last name isn't common at all. So I Googled him, and guess what popped up? A small obituary from Springfield, Ohio, posted yesterday. No cause of death. Just said, Jared passed peacefully in his home. No other details. No funeral information. Just that cold, vague line you only get when nobody wants to talk about what actually happened. So yeah, I freaked out. But I didn't sleep that night. I just kept refreshing the forum. And then, the next night, there was a new post. Post number 2. Coordinates 39.9985 degrees north, 75.1569 degrees west. That's in Philadelphia. Like, in the city. Photo, another grave. Name, Maya R. Ellis. Born, 2002. Died, 2024. Maya was in my 7th grade English class. She used to be a cheerleader, super popular, had that Instagram influencer vibe, before Instagram was even a thing. I hadn't seen her since graduation, but I remembered that name like it was etched into my brain. Once again, I searched her up, found her Facebook profile. It had just turned into a memorial page. It gets worse. She died the same day the post went up, not the day before, not a week earlier, literally hours before the coordinates dropped. And the grave? I checked the coordinates. They pointed to a construction lot on the outskirts of Fairmount Park. Not a cemetery, not a church, just dirt. That's when the paranoia hit full speed. I started looking at my old class photos, my yearbooks, my graduation video, and every night since then, a new name has popped up. Always someone I went to school with. Sometimes I barely remember them, like this one guy, Anthony Cola, who I swear only transferred in for half a semester and then vanished. But when I search the name, boom, there's an obituary. Always vague, always fresh. But the graves are not in official cemeteries. They're in places like behind a McDonald's off I-76, inside a nature trail in New Jersey, beneath an abandoned gas station in Maryland, all with fresh headstones, clean lettering, and the exact name, date, and birth year. No vandalism, no signs of digging, just perfect, like someone placed them there overnight. I know what you're thinking. Could it be a prank? Some really messed up ARG. But here's what scared me the most. Last night's post wasn't coordinates. It was a countdown timer. Next location unlocks in 24 hours, 0 minutes, 0 seconds. And underneath it? You're almost there, Matt. Yeah, that's my name. No more GPS. No more names. Just me. I don't know what to do. I've got all the screenshots. I tried showing a couple friends, but they just think I'm watching too many horror channels on YouTube. I even emailed the police, but never got a response. They probably think it's a hoax too. But I'm telling you, someone out there is tracking me, or watching me, or playing a game, and I'm next. Tonight's the next drop. I've got my VPN ready, my phone fully charged. I'm not going anywhere. If I don't update this thread by tomorrow, check MarrowNet. The timer hits 0 at 2:01 a.m. Not midnight like you'd expect. Not some cliche witching hour. Just 2:01 a.m. exactly. My screen refreshed on its own, like something in the code was triggered. There was no post this time, just a video file. It was titled, "Let's Dig, Matthew." I didn't want to click it. I should have shut it all down right there. Burned my laptop, slammed the window shut, called my mom, and told her I loved her. Anything except what I did next. But I clicked it, and the first thing I heard, before the video even showed anything, was shoveling. slow, heavy, wet shoveling, like someone pulling mud from the earth with a broken rake. Then the screen faded in, a flashlight bobbing in total darkness, dirt and rocks, something panting hard behind the camera. Then the camera turned. I swear on my life, it turned and faced the hole. There was a body in it, not bones, not a mannequin, a real body. It looked like a kid, maybe 20, maybe younger. Long hair matted with dirt, pale skin, like paper soaked in milk. His mouth was open like he'd screamed before he stopped breathing. His fingers were curled in like he tried to grab at something, maybe the air. But here's the part that made my stomach feel like it had fallen into a meat grinder. The kid's eyes were still blinking, not regularly, not like he was alive, just twitching. One eye closed all the way, the other just jerked, like when you die with your nerves still firing. Then the camera zoomed in, closer and closer, until the lens was practically kissing his face. And that's when I saw the name stitched onto his jacket. R. Dilworth, class of 2020, Ryan Dilworth, my high school lab partner. We dissected frogs together in sophomore year. He'd been missing since 2021. Everyone thought he just dropped off social media. His Instagram's still up. His last story was a boomerang of his cat pawing at a can of Red Bull. People still comment on it with, "Yo, where you at?" and "Damn, bro, come home." But Ryan's not coming home. He's under somebody's floor, twitching, frozen, buried. After that, the camera flipped back around. The person filming was breathing louder now. They said something I'll never forget for as long as I'm alive, because it didn't sound human when they said it, like the voice was cracking under its own skin. They say the bell tolls once for the dead, but I like it better when it rings twice. Once for them, once for you. Then the screen went black, just static. No end of video, no play bar, no pause button. My entire browser froze. I had to pull the power cord out to turn my PC off. But when I rebooted, when I checked the browser history, the video was gone. The page was gone. Marronet's thread was locked with a red skull icon and just 3 words beneath it. Next grave, tonight. At 3:07 a.m., my phone buzzed. No caller ID. I let it ring. I don't answer block numbers, especially not in the middle of the night. But after the 3rd ring, I got a text. "We're under your house. Can you hear us breathing?" I stared at it for a solid minute. Then the 2nd message came through. "Check under the vent near the laundry room. I live in an old duplex near West Gerard. The laundry room's in the back, kind of tucked behind the kitchen. It always smelled weird down there, like something rotten got into the walls. I thought it was mold, or maybe a dead squirrel or something, but I've never checked under that vent. Until now." I grabbed a flashlight and a baseball bat and crept down, one step at a time. I don't know how to explain it, but the house felt suffocating, like the air itself was pressing down on me, watching me, holding its breath. When I reached the vent, I unscrewed the cover. It popped off way too easily, and behind it, shoved deep into the wall cavity, was a plastic bag, tied in a perfect little knot. Inside it, hair, teeth, a pair of broken glasses. I dropped it and puked instantly. I couldn't help it. I recognized the glasses. They were purple, crooked, one lens cracked. They belonged to Andrea Lewis. She sat behind me in freshman algebra. I used to borrow her calculator when mine died. I googled her name. Nothing came up. No death notice. No social media. But when I searched her name on Marronet, a private thread popped up. Day 8. Andrea. Slow suffocation is the softest scream. That's when I realize something sickening, something I still don't fully understand. The people buried in these random places, they're not all dead when they go in. That night, I didn't sleep, not even for a second. I stayed up pacing around with a knife in my hand and every light on in the house. I even called my cousin, who lives in New York, and begged her to let me crash for a week. She said yes, but the second I mentioned Marrownet, she hung up and hasn't answered since. Then, at 4:29 a.m., my ring cam went off. I checked the app and froze. There was a man standing at the bottom of my porch steps, wearing all black, hoodie up. Couldn't see his face, but he stood completely still. Didn't move, didn't knock, didn't look at the camera. Just held up a sign, written in Sharpie, "You are tomorrow." And then he walked away. Not like he was scared, like he knew I'd be too scared to follow. The next night, Marrownet posted again. No video, no grave, just a photo taken on a metro train in DC. It showed a woman sitting alone, looking at her phone, face half lit by the screen glow. I recognized her immediately. Ms. Horwitz, my 5th grade teacher. She used to give us lollipops if we got A's. She's probably like 60 now. The caption said, "The bell reaches all." I tried messaging her Facebook. I DM'd her, emailed her, even called the old school she used to work at. They told me she retired 2 years ago. I checked the coordinates in the metadata of the photo. It was near DuPont Circle in Washington, D.C. I posted the image in a local commuter group on Facebook, asking if anyone had seen her. The post was deleted in less than a minute. Not flagged, not reported, just vanished. Like the internet itself is bending to this thing's will. Last night, I made the worst decision of my life. I went to one of the grave locations, the one behind the McDonald's, off Jerem E76. The coordinates were still saved in my browser history. I packed a crowbar and a flashlight and got there around 1:45 a.m. There was no headstone, but there was a mound of dirt, fresh, like it had just been shoveled a few hours ago. I dug. I don't know why. Maybe part of me needed proof. Maybe part of me hoped it was all fake, just a dumb RG run by some edgy 17-year-old. But about 2 feet down, I hit something solid. Not wood, not a coffin, a mirror. It was rectangular, maybe 6 feet long, and buried face up. When I wiped the dirt off it, I swear to God, it showed me standing there with no eyes, just black sockets, blood pouring down my cheeks, and behind me, a hand coming out of the dirt. I turned around. Nothing was there. When I looked back down at the mirror, the reflection was gone. Just my normal face, dirt on my chin, cold sweat on my lip. But I ran. I dropped the crowbar and ran back to my car like hell itself was chasing me. When I slammed the door shut and turned on the headlights, there was a new grave marker right in front of the car. Not in the dirt, not in the grass, just standing on the pavement, like someone placed it there while I was digging. It had my name on it, and the date was tonight. I don't know who or what is behind this, but I think they're not just watching me anymore. They're inside the world now, like a virus crawling through every power line, every camera lens, every shadow. And I swear to you, I can hear footsteps in my attic right now. I live alone. There is no way anyone should be up there. But something is. Something knows my name. Something is counting down. And I think tomorrow, it digs up me. Don't look under your floorboards. And whatever you do, don't go outside at 2:01 a.m. It's 11:58 p.m. right now. 2 minutes until the next name. And I'm shaking so hard I can barely type. I've barricaded the doors. I turned off the Wi-Fi. I covered every mirror in the house with sheets because I don't trust what they show anymore. I smashed my Ring cam last night after it glitched and showed someone standing inside my living room, even though I was home alone. I walked in there with a bat and found nothing but a faint, coppery smell, like old pennies and rot. And I think it's getting closer. I don't just mean it like a thing. I mean whatever's controlling the thread, whoever's behind the countdowns, whatever keeps digging these graves that aren't really graves. There's something else, something worse, something older. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me tell you what happened yesterday. Let me tell you what happened when I tried to run. Yesterday morning, I got in my car and drove. Didn't pack anything, didn't call anyone, just grabbed my phone, a hoodie, and the knife from the kitchen drawer. I hit I-95 south and didn't look back. I didn't even have a destination. I just wanted to be far away from that timer, from the graves, from the mirror in the dirt. Somewhere around Delaware, my GPS glitched. I wasn't using a sketchy app. I was on Google Maps, I swear. But suddenly, the voice told me, in 300 feet, turn left, into memory. Then the map updated. My blue dot was gone. The screen was just black, like I'd driven off the world. I pulled over, shaking, and that's when I noticed something out the windshield. There was a school in the distance. Not a modern one, not even one I recognized. It looked abandoned. Tall brick building with blown-out windows, rusted flagpole, and weeds taller than I am growing from the roof. But something about it felt familiar, like a memory I was trying to forget. And then I realized it was my old elementary school, but it had burned down 15 years ago. I got out and walked toward it. I shouldn't have. I knew I shouldn't have. But something about the building pulled at me, like it remembered me, like it wanted me back inside. The front doors were hanging off the hinges. The hallway was pitch black, but I could hear something, faint, echoing down the corridor. The school bell. It rang once, then again, 11 times. Then it stopped. But what made my legs buckle and my throat go dry was the clicking. Loud and wet and inhuman, like someone dragging their fingernails down meat. And then came the whispers. Matthew, come take attendance. We saved you a desk. I turned to leave, ran back toward the exit, and the doors were gone. Just gone. In their place was a brick wall with a headstone embedded in it. My mother's name, not mine. Heron, and below her name it said, absent 0/6/2025. That was today's date. I FaceTimed her right there in that hallway. My hands were shaking so bad I could barely hit the call button. She answered after one ring, looked tired, pale. I screamed at her not to leave the house, not to answer the door, not to even open the windows. She laughed nervously and told me I was scaring her. Then the screen froze, just for a second. But in that second, I saw something standing behind her. A figure, blurred, towering, wearing my middle school uniform. Except, the thing wearing it wasn't human. The face was made of torn yearbook photos, eyes cut from different kids, mouths stitched into a smile with school ID lanyards, and its hands. They were sharpened pencils, hundreds of them, jammed into wrist sockets like knives. When the video unfroze, my mom was gone. Just an empty room behind her. The screen said, call ended, 0013. I screamed so loud my throat tore. Then, from the end of the school hallway, something moved, not walked, dragged. I saw it just for a split second, skin that looked stapled together, dozens of student names carved into its chest, a cracked bell for a head. It didn't speak, just rang, once, twice, then it charged. I ran through the hall, past broken lockers, desks turned sideways, shattered glass that sounded like it was whispering as I stepped on it. I didn't know where I was going. The building twisted, bent, staircases leading into walls, classrooms full of shadows that screamed like children dying in slow motion. I finally found a window, one not covered in boards, and jumped. Landed hard, sprained my wrist. Didn't care. I looked back once, just once. The school was gone, replaced by an empty field and one small gravestone in the center. My mom's name was still on it. I drove home like my car was on fire. Didn't stop once. No food, no bathroom. Just drove through the night. Headlights illuminating dead animals on the road that weren't there when I looked again. When I got back to Philly, there were flyers taped all over my front door. Each one had a different face from my old class photos. Each one said, "Missing since last night," and at the bottom, "Last seen near you." I took them down, every single one, but they were already inside my house. The photos, not the people. Photos I never printed, never scanned, scattered across my floor, under my pillow, taped inside my fridge, one even pinned to my chest when I woke up this morning, pierced through the skin with a paperclip. Then the most recent drop hit. I hadn't checked MarrowNet all day. I was too scared, but around 2 a.m. I opened my laptop and refreshed the page. There was no post, no photo, no name, just a video chat window. It auto-connected. The screen was black at first, then a spotlight came on, and I saw my mum, tied to a chair, mouth gagged with strips of yearbook pages, eyes wide, trying to scream through the paper. Behind her, that same thing I saw in the FaceTime, the student suit, the bell head. Its arms were scissors now, giant ones, open and dripping something thick and white like glue or melted plastic. It lifted one blade and turned to the camera. Then a voice came from the speakers, not from it, from behind it, human, calm, almost excited, like someone narrating a nature documentary. "You don't remember what you did, Matthew, but they do. They all do. The quiet ones, the bullied ones, the ones who never came back after spring break, the ones whose lockers you passed without ever noticing the smell. We've been digging for you, every night, one shovel at a time. And now we're almost done." The screen went black. Then a countdown appeared again. 1 hour, 14 minutes, 33 seconds. But underneath it, in blood-red font, "Bring a shovel. It's 12:03 a.m. now, 3 minutes past midnight, and the shoveling sounds have started under my bed. I'm upstairs. My room is on the second floor. There's no basement under me, just floorboards, and whatever's underneath them is digging up. Don't fall asleep. Don't check your yearbooks. And if you hear a school bell in the middle of the night, it's not in your head. It's for you. There's something wrong with time now. It's not moving forward anymore. It's looping, stuttering. I've lived through the same 5 minutes at least 3 times tonight. I know because I watched the clock on my oven reset itself at exactly 3:14 a.m. over and over. First the power blinked, then the microwave started playing a dial-up modem sound. The fridge beeped like it was crying, and the lights, The lights dimmed until the house looked like it was underwater, and then the scratching came back, under the floorboards, inside the walls, inside me. The shoveling sound has evolved into something else now. Not mechanical, not human. It's wet, like fingernails scraping through organs, like something trying to dig up through me instead of under me. The noise doesn't stop when I leave my room. It follows. It changes pitch depending on where I go. It syncs with my breathing now. The deeper I inhale, the deeper it digs. I can feel the heat from it rising through the wooden planks. I left the house for 5 minutes tonight. Just 5 minutes. I drove to the Wawa up the road because I needed light. I needed people. I needed anything that wasn't this goddamn curse that's eating my life from the inside. But even Wawa was wrong. There was a woman behind the counter wearing the uniform. Red polo, black cap. But she had no mouth. Just smooth skin. Like someone covered her lips in plastic wrap and fused it to her face. She didn't blink when I walked in. Didn't speak. She just slid a receipt across the counter with my name on it, and written beneath it in blood-red ink, Tardy. The moment I looked up, she was gone. So were the lights. So was the exit. I was inside a convenience store that didn't exist anymore. A rotted version. The aisles were sagging, filled with VHS tapes where candy used to be. All of them unlabeled except for one. You never came to my funeral. I grabbed it instinctively. My fingers sank into the case. It wasn't plastic. It was flesh. Something pulsing inside it. I dropped it. It screamed. I ran through the aisle, past shelves that moaned and refrigerators filled with teeth, out the exit that finally appeared. And the moment I stepped outside, the sky turned red. Not a pretty red, not sunset, not clouds. It looked like muscle, like someone skinned the atmosphere and left it bleeding. When I got home, the front door was unlocked. I know I locked it. Triple deadbolt, chain latch. I check it like 5 times a night now, but it was open, wide, and there were muddy footprints leading upstairs. Not adult-sized, child-sized. I followed them. I don't know why. Curiosity is a weapon, and I keep stabbing myself with it. At the top of the stairs, the footprints stopped. They didn't fade out. They didn't smudge. They just ended in the hallway. Like whoever made them got pulled straight up through the ceiling, or dragged into the walls. In my room, the mirror was uncovered. I didn't do that, but it was uncovered, and my reflection was standing there, smiling. But I wasn't smiling. My reflection moved its lips, even though I didn't, and it whispered, "You let them die. All of them. You forgot their names. You buried them in your memory. We're just digging them back out." Then it opened its mouth wider than it should have. The jaw cracked, dislocated, peeled into a scream, but no sound came out, just static. Black, boiling static, like an analog TV frying its own brain, and behind it, reflected in the mirror, I saw desks, dozens of them, a classroom. I know that room. I know those chairs. They're from room 104 at my old middle school, the room where Tommy Ray collapsed in the middle of a pop quiz. Everyone thought it was a seizure, but nobody ever saw him again. The school said he transferred. Transferred where? To the grave behind the Wendy's, apparently. I drove out there tonight. Coordinates dropped in the MarrowNet thread at 1:11 a.m. The GPS led me to a dumpster behind a burned-out Wendy's. No headstone, just a note duct-taped to the back alley wall. Classroom 104, present. Ray, Tommy, present. Matthew, absent. I checked the dumpster anyway. You know what was inside? A desk, school desk, wooden top, metal legs, and something duct-taped to the seat. I swear to God, it was a child-sized skeleton, slumped over like it fell asleep forever in detention, still wearing the remains of a red hoodie with property of East Valley Middle printed on the back. Its head had no skull, just a bell, welded where the face should be. When I leaned closer to it, the bell rang, not out loud, in my head. And the moment it rang, every single car in the Wendy's parking lot, abandoned, rusted-out wrecks, turned their headlights on at the same time. They were all pointed at me. I didn't stay to find out what was inside them. I ran. When I got home, my front door was nailed shut from the inside. Not locked. Nailed. I had to use a hammer from the shed to pry the wood off. There were names carved into the nails, one on each. Names of classmates, names of teachers, names I haven't heard in 10, 15 years. Some I don't even remember until I see them, like they've been buried in my brain. And that's when it hit me. This is not just death. This is memory as punishment. These graves are not physical. They're mental. They're emotional coffins being forced open, scraped up from where we shoved them down. Every face I forgot. Every rumor I ignored. Every time I walked by someone crying in the locker room and didn't ask why. They're coming back, not for justice, for witnesses. And I am the last one alive who remembers all of them, even if I buried the memories. My laptop turned itself on 5 minutes ago. No login screen, just one window. Live footage from a funeral home. I don't recognize it until I see the plaque on the front. In loving memory, Maya R. Ellis. She's there, in the casket, but she's moving. Eyes darting under the lids, hands flexing, skin twitching like something underneath is trying to climb out of her. And behind her coffin, a projector plays the video of our 7th grade class field trip. I remember it vividly. We went to a science museum in DC, and she got scared by the animatronic dinosaurs. She cried on the bus ride home. Nobody comforted her. We laughed. We laughed. Now she's weeping blood in a box, replaying that day on loop, trapped in some twisted joke that only we were in on. The screen flickered, and now it's me, in the coffin. I don't know how they got this footage. I don't know when it was filmed, but there's a label under the video. Scheduled for burial tomorrow, 2:01 a.m. My phone buzzed just now. One text, no number. We left your uniform under the floorboards. Please wear it. It's almost time for school. If you're reading this, memorize every name you've ever forgotten. Someone out there still knows who they were, and they are no longer resting in peace. It's 1:58 a.m. 3 minutes left. There's nothing else to do now. I've nailed the door shut, salted the windows, covered every mirror with duct tape, black trash bags, whatever I could find. My phone's on 1%. My laptop's dead. The power's flickering like it's being breathed on, and the air smells like dirt and wood rot, like something is already inside the walls, just waiting to be seen. The only reason I'm writing this now is because the clock on the oven is ticking backward, literally backward, from 1:59 to 1:58 to 1:57. Like time isn't counting down, it's being peeled away, second by second, like skin off a bone. And every peel sounds like a scream I recognize. But I'll get to that. I'll tell you everything, because this is the last part, and it all ends with me. Earlier tonight, I finally broke the floorboards in my bedroom. I had to. The digging stopped hours ago, but the smell didn't. Like 1,000 kids had been rotting under my house this whole time, whispering through the insulation. Every time I stepped near the corner of the room, the air buzzed like a blown speaker, and the temperature dropped to freezer cold. So I pried the wood loose, plank by plank, and underneath, there wasn't insulation, there wasn't dirt, there was a trapdoor, painted red, nailed shut, and carved into the wood in deep shaking scratches. Do not open unless you want to remember everything. I opened it anyway. It was a tunnel, not a basement, not a crawl space. A tunnel, lit by candles made of crayons, burning in silence, dripping rainbow wax onto child-sized shoes arranged like offerings. The walls were covered in paper, lined with old report cards, detention slips, essays about what I want to be when I grow up, all stained with fingerprints, tiny, brown, faintly red at the edges, and the air in there. It wasn't air, it was breath. The whole tunnel was breathing, pulsing like a throat swallowing me alive. But I crawled anyway. The deeper I went, the more I started hearing voices. Not loud, not screaming. Worse, reciting. Matt called me retard during recess. Matt said nothing when they locked me in the janitor's closet. Matt laughed when they threw my binder in the urinal. Matt saw me crying. Matt looked away. Every word hit the walls like a heartbeat until I reached the door at the end. It wasn't a real door. It was a locker. One of the old beige metal ones from my high school. Number 289. I had that one. Freshman year. I once stuffed someone's hoodie in there and poured Red Bull on it because it smelled weird. The locker was wide open now. Inside was a uniform. My old gym clothes, soaked in something sticky, and my name tag, melted into the fabric. Next to it, a bell. Not just any bell. The same one I saw stitched into the face of a thing in the school. It rang once, and when it did, the locker expanded, like the metal grew, like it was swallowing the hallway behind it. And behind the bell, sitting in a row, were desks. Dozens. Hundreds. Each one filled with a dead classmate. And each one turned to look at me. That's when I remembered everything. Not in pieces, not in flashes. In full, overwhelming, high-definition clarity. The way Casey Duran screamed when the football team trapped her in the girls' locker room, and I walked right past and told myself, not my problem. The time I found Leo Mendez with scratches up his arms in the library and told him, "You're just looking for attention." The time Alyssa Brinkley said she didn't want to go home, and I laughed because I thought she was being dramatic. And all the ones I forgot, the ones who vanished without a goodbye, the ones who stopped showing up, the ones who stopped existing when no one cared. Every memory I buried, every face I deleted to protect my peace, they dug themselves back out. And now I see what the graves are. They're not tombstones. They're repressed guilt, polished and planted by something ancient, by the custodian. That's what it called itself when it stood behind me in the tunnel. 7 feet tall, skin the color of mildewed paper. Its head wasn't a bell anymore. It was a yearbook, cut into the shape of a skull, pages fluttering where the mouth should be. Every page was a photo of someone I'd forgotten, someone I'd stepped over. The custodian held a clipboard, and it read, "Final attendance. Matthew, you. Absent until now. Seat, ready. Grave, prepared. Shovel, unnecessary. You already buried yourself." Then it handed me a paper, a detention slip. and the reason for punishment said, "You forgot they were real." I tried to run, but my legs sank into the floor. The tunnel became mud. The mud became desks. The desks chained themselves to my arms. Every desk I'd sat in, every hallway I walked past without asking, "Are you okay?" wrapped around my throat like a leash. I wasn't running anymore. I was being escorted down the hallway of memories. Every locker slammed open as I passed, every one of them full of screaming faces with stapled mouths. And then I was in the classroom, room 104. Everyone turned to look at me. Everyone was smiling. Everyone was dead. The custodian walked to the chalkboard and wrote 2 words, "Class complete." Then the bell rang, louder than I've ever heard it. It broke me. The sound didn't hit my ears. It hit my bones. I collapsed. I felt my teeth loosen. My fingers cracked. My memories tore open like letters that had been sealed for years, and finally remembered what they were trying to say. And then the projector turned on. It played my funeral. Tomorrow's date. Same casket. Same church. Empty. No one crying. No one even there. Just the custodian, taking attendance one last time. I woke up back in my bed, but my bed isn't in my house anymore. It's in the classroom, room 104, underneath the desk, and I can't move. I'm glued to the mattress, nailed to it by guilt that's turned into flesh, and the lights are flickering, and the blackboard now says, "Final lesson. If you bury the forgotten, they come back to collect the living." The clock says 2 a.m. now. Any second, any breath, any heartbeat, I will be gone. They're already climbing up the walls like mold. They've pulled the house underground with them. I can see the grave marker through the window, even though I'm 2 stories up. It's got my name on it. The letters are still being carved as I write this. They're letting me finish. They're giving me the kindness I never gave them. I can hear desks being dragged across tile now, chairs scraping, backpacks unzipping. One more class, one more student. They're waiting for me to say it. So here it is. Here's what they've all wanted to hear from the very beginning. I see you. I remember you. I'm sorry. The bell rings. And now, I'm present. You have one new message on Maronet. Next grave. Mark. Scheduled. 2:01 a.m. Please be on time. Attendance is mandatory. A stranger on the dark web asked me one question. Do you want to see the world before they changed it? I wish I said no. What's up, Reddit? So, I don't usually post stuff like this, but I've been sitting on this for months, and it's been eating at me. Like, it's not just some creepy experience or a dream that felt too real. This actually happened to me. I'm not going to say my name, but I'm a 20-year-old college student in Philly. Pretty normal life. I'm into tech, games, the usual Reddit stuff. I live alone. I work at a Starbucks by campus, and I do a little freelance IT work when I can get it. It started on a random Thursday night back in October. It was one of those cold nights where the wind sounds like it's whispering through the cracks in your window. I had a long shift and couldn't sleep, so I did what I usually do when insomnia hits. I watched YouTube, mostly horror stuff. Animated horror channels like Here's My Story, Onesie, even those creepy old analog horror series like Gemini Home Entertainment and Local 58. I'd seen one where a guy said he found some old web server from the 90s that hadn't been updated in decades. That got me thinking about the deep web. Now I'm not a total noob. I know the difference between the deep web and the dark web. The deep web is just unindexed pages, harmless. But the dark web, that's where things get shady. Drugs, hitmen, red rooms, all that terrifying stuff you see in documentaries or those over-edited TikToks. I figured, screw it, I'm bored. So I installed Tails OS on a USB, booted it up, got my VPN running, and opened the Tor browser. At first it was boring. I'm not gonna lie. There's a lot of junk out there. Forums with 4 users arguing about Bitcoin, pages with broken images, a ton of dead links. The whole deep web is dangerous thing is a little overhyped. Or at least it was. But then I found something. Or maybe it found me. The link. It was on a random .onion forum that had maybe 5 people online. The thread was called See the World Before They Changed It. Invite only. There were no replies. Just a single post by someone named URLNOWN. Yeah, spelled just like that. Like you are unknown, but mashed together. It just said, only for those ready to forget what they know. No cops, no cowards, no fakes. Do you want to see the world before they changed it? Click here. Dead.onion link now. I checked. And look, I know what you're thinking. That's the most cliche dark web thing ever. But I don't know. Something about it felt off. Not like fake creepy. Like genuine paranoia started crawling down my spine. But curiosity beat fear. So I clicked it. The screen went black. I thought maybe my browser crashed. Then a loading circle popped up. Pure white, smooth animation, like you'd see on a big budget tech company website. Underneath it was a single question. Are you ready to remember what they erased? There were 2 buttons. Yes, and I want to leave. I stared at it for like 5 minutes. It felt like the site was watching me. I finally clicked yes. The call. Instantly, my webcam flicked on. You know that sound Macs make when the webcam goes active? That soft little click? I heard it. And I don't own a Mac. I covered the cam with tape immediately and almost yanked the USB out. But then my screen shifted again. This time, it was a video feed, not a website anymore. The stream showed a street, empty, looked like a live feed from a security cam. At first, it looked like a McDonald's parking lot, but the sign was twisted. Like the M wasn't golden, it was black and flickering like an old neon sign. It buzzed. Then, someone stepped into the frame. He was wearing a hoodie. His face was blurred, but not like a filter. It was like the pixels around his head wouldn't hold still. They were alive, glitching. Then he spoke. Not typed. Spoke. Now you've seen the gate. The world's skin is thin. Do you want to see behind it? I thought it was pre-recorded, until he said my name. Like my real name. Not the one on my Reddit. Not my username. My birth name. And then he said my college. And the exact floor of the building I live on. I freaked. I turned off my PC. Yanked the USB. I even smashed it just to be safe. I couldn't sleep for days. The package fast forward 1 week. I told myself I imagined it all. Some trippy dream. Probably dozed off watching too many creepy videos. Then I got a package. No return address. Just a small black envelope in my mailbox. I opened it, and inside was a single photo. One of those Polaroids where the edges are frayed. It showed the same McDonald's parking lot from the video. Same glitched sign. Same guy in the hoodie. But in this photo, he was standing next to me. My face was clear as day. Eyes wide. Like I'd seen a ghost. Only problem is, I've never been to that place in my life. I swear on everything I love. There was something written on the back of the photo, in pen, This was from before you forgot. I never went back on tour after that night. I deleted everything. Factory reset. Clean slate. But it didn't matter. It already knew where I was. A few nights after I got that photo, I started hearing things. At first, it was little stuff. The sound of my phone vibrating on the desk when it wasn't. Notifications popping up that I didn't get. The microwave would beep at exactly 3:33 a.m. every night. No food inside, just the beep. I unplugged it. It still beeped. I stopped sleeping. I thought maybe I was just breaking down. College pressure, overwork, lack of sleep. That's what I wanted to believe. Until I woke up one morning and the world just wasn't right anymore. The second apartment. Everything in my apartment was exactly how I left it, except for one thing. The window showed a street I'd never seen before. I live in Philly. I know what my street looks like. This wasn't it. The view out my window was just wrong. It looked like a city, but the buildings were wrong. They were too tall, too thin, stretched like something out of an AI-generated image. The skyline was bent, like someone took a photo and warped it with their thumb. There were no people outside, just cars, moving way too slow, like someone filmed traffic and hit 0.25x speed. They didn't even have drivers. I pulled up Google Maps. It loaded. It even showed my apartment. But when I tried to use Street View, this location is restricted. You have seen too much. The message blinked once. Then the browser crashed. I was still in my room, still in my bed, but I wasn't home. I checked my socials, Snapchat, Instagram, Reddit. Everything was gone, deleted. No record of me. Even texts from my friends, all wiped. I opened WhatsApp and it just said, no connected host, like the world just cut me off. That's when the second envelope came. This one wasn't in my mailbox. It was under my pillow. The VHS inside the envelope was a mini VHS tape. I don't even own a VCR, but something must have known I'd try to play it. That night, I got a knock on my door. 3 knocks. Slow. Measured. I didn't open it. I just stood there, holding my breath, looking through the peephole. Nobody was there. Just a box sitting on my doormat. Inside was a rusted VCR, like the kind you'd see in your grandma's basement. I plugged it in, hooked it to my monitor, and loaded the tape. The screen flickered, and I swear to God, I saw myself. It was a recording. Me, sitting at my desk, scrolling on my laptop. Everything looked normal, until my face looked up. In the video, at the camera. I watched myself reach under the desk, pull something out, and smile. I've never seen myself smile like that. Not with my teeth. Not with those eyes. Then the screen changed. The rooms. The footage switched to a long gray hallway. Concrete walls, metal doors. Looked like a morgue. Except the bodies were moving. There were 12 rooms. Each one was labeled. Handwritten numbers, like someone wrote them in marker. Room 1 had a girl crying, chained to a chair, wires in her arms. Monitors around her flashing random TikTok clips, looping infinitely. She wasn't even looking at them, just sobbing. Room 2 was darker. A man kneeling in front of a TV, whispering to it. The TV was off, but he wouldn't stop talking. He was praying to the static. Room 3. God. Room 3 had mirrors. All mirrors. Except when you looked in them, the reflections were alive. They weren't reflections. They were people, trapped, screaming, scratching the glass. I wanted to stop the tape, but I couldn't. My hands wouldn't move. Room 4 showed a kid, maybe 10, maybe 12, sitting in front of a MacBook. The screen showed his own face on Zoom, but behind him, there was someone standing there, in a mask, with a scalpel. Every time the kid blinked, the figure got closer. Room 5 was me, the eye. It was a live feed, a camera in my apartment. It showed me watching the tape, the same exact moment, like an infinite loop. Then my monitor shut off by itself. I sat there in silence for what felt like an hour. Then the screen flickered back on, and there was a message. "You don't remember the eye, do you?" Then the lights in my room turned red. I swear on everything, I never had colored lights, but the whole room was glowing, soaked in crimson, and in the corner of my room, behind my desk, where the shadow always falls, there was something watching. Not a person, not an animal, just a shape. Tall, long fingers, no face. And where its face should have been, there was just a pulsing, glowing white eye. It didn't move. It didn't breathe. It just watched. The interview. The next time I woke up, I wasn't in my apartment anymore. I was sitting in a small white room, sterile, no doors, no windows, just a chair, a table, and an old tape recorder. The tape clicked. A voice, raspy, genderless, asked a question. Before they changed it, "Do you remember who you were?" I didn't answer. I couldn't. It repeated the question, this time louder. "Do you remember your real name?" I said nothing. Then the walls began bleeding, not metaphorically. Actual blood ran from the corners, thick, black-red. I started screaming. The tape clicked off. I blacked out. Back home, but not really. When I opened my eyes again, I was back in my room, like nothing happened. But things were different. The window showed the right street again. My phone worked. My socials were back. I even got a text from my manager asking why I missed my last shift. Only problem? 10 days had passed. 10 whole days. No one noticed I was gone. No police. No missing person report. My friends just thought I was off the grid. My mom thought I was just tired of everyone's crap. Like reality filled in the gaps. But I didn't sleep. I didn't eat. I didn't leave that room for days. Because when I turned my phone camera to selfie mode, just to check my face, there was something standing behind me in the reflection. That eye. Again. And it blinked. The new message. Yesterday, I got a new message. Not a text. Not an email. It just appeared on my screen when I opened Spotify, of all things. "You are remembering. Phase 2 begins soon." That was it. I don't know what's real anymore. I don't know if I'm even typing this to real people. All I know is that once you answer the question, once you say yes, you don't come back the same. And whatever they are, they're watching all of us, even you. There are things you can unsee. You can block a memory. You can forget a smell. You can convince yourself that maybe what you experienced was a hallucination, sleep paralysis, a dream. That's what I tried to do, until last week, when I got the third envelope. It wasn't in my mailbox. It was inside my fridge, wrapped in aluminum foil like leftovers. Inside was a note, yellow, crumpled, and moist from the condensation. Scribbled in Sharpie were 6 characters that would rot my brain from the inside out. BLINK, and under it, "Before lights in nature kneel." At first, it meant nothing. Just another cryptic message from whatever this thing is. I crumpled the paper and threw it away. But when I checked the trash later that night, it wasn't there. Instead, the trash bin was filled to the brim with dozens of the same exact note, all identical. Same handwriting, same smell, wet paper, permanent marker, and something else. Something I can only describe as burnt hair mixed with roadkill. The Google Street View glitch. I tried to find something online. I searched Blink Dark Web, Blink Conspiracy, Blink Surveillance Program, even went down deep into subreddits like r Torrid Conspiracy, r Deep Web Mysteries, Arsha Glitch, In the Matrix. Nothing. But then I remembered what happened the first time I tried using Google Maps during all this. The restricted location message. This time, I got smarter. I installed an old APK of Google Earth from 2012 onto a burner Android, rooted it, disconnected it from my Wi-Fi. I opened it. The app was broken, but only slightly. The Earth would spin normally, but when I tried zooming into my hometown, it froze. The screen went black. Not just black though, like negative black. You could feel the void. My camera app opened by itself. Flash turned on. The selfie cam flicked on, but it didn't show my face. It showed something behind me, again, but it wasn't the eye this time. It was rows of chairs, like a movie theater, and I was standing on stage. They were watching me, and every single face in that audience was mine, dead. Some of them had no eyes. Others were grinning so wide, their cheeks split like wet paper. One had its skull caved in, like someone had bashed it with a hammer. Bloodless, just wrong. One had its neck stretched like rubber, coiled around its own torso like a rope, and every single one of them was staring at me with dead, cloudy eyes. And then they blinked, all at once. That's when I understood. BLINK wasn't just a message. It was a countdown, a ritual, a trigger. Phase 2, the lights. Everything in my apartment went out that night. Power, phone, router, even my backup generator, fried. The LED strip lights under my desk burst with a pop and filled the room with a smell like burning plastic and copper blood. But the lights outside, they turned on. Street lights that haven't worked in years, glowing white-blue, blinding. Every single one of them flicked on in sync. It didn't make sense. My whole block was dark, yet the city outside my window was lit like Times Square on New Year's Eve. And then, the sky blinked. I'm serious. Not an eclipse, not clouds. It blinked. For half a second, the entire night sky turned pitch black. No stars, no moon, just an eye. A massive, pupilless eye, like a dying sun with a staring void. Then it vanished, and I heard footsteps above me. But I live on the top floor. The visitors, they came at 2:17 a.m. I remember the time because my digital clock started glitching. The numbers turned into letters. 2:17, Z-I-N, Zion. I don't know if that means anything. I don't know if it's connected to religion, simulation theory, or something else. But right after it flickered, I heard dragging on the roof. Not walking, dragging, like something long and wet being pulled across the surface. And then, tapping. 3 taps on my ceiling. Slow, almost mocking. I grabbed my phone and tried to record it, but the camera app wouldn't open. Instead, it kept flashing an error. Your lens has seen too much. I blacked out. The underground hotel. I woke up in a bathroom stall. Not mine, not public. It looked like a hotel. Dim, warm, orange lights buzzing overhead like an old Holiday Inn. My hands were sticky. When I looked down, they were covered in black ink, and carved into the back of my right hand were the words, Floor -6, don't go lower. I opened the store door, and the hallway outside was silent, carpeted in red, brass fixtures, a strong smell of bleach, and something rotten underneath it. like someone tried cleaning up after a crime scene, but forgot a few pieces of meat. There were no windows, no elevators, only one stairwell at the end of the hallway, marked, to lobby. But when I stepped into it, the stairs only went down. Floor -6, I counted every floor I passed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I got to floor -6. The door wasn't like the others. It wasn't metal. It wasn't wood. It was skin. It looked like stretched human skin pulled over a frame. Veiny. Cold. The door handle was a jawbone. Still had molars in it. I turned it. Inside was a room I can barely describe. Imagine a hospital waiting room, a DMV, and a slaughterhouse all merged together. The walls were covered in CRT monitors showing random people sleeping, eating, walking down Target aisles, sitting in Starbucks, scrolling TikTok. Real people. Every screen said the same word in the bottom corner. Blink status, monitored. Then I saw them, the attendants. They looked human, mostly. They wore uniforms, old-fashioned ones, like bellhops from the 50s, except their faces were hollow. Black holes where their features should have been. Their mouths didn't open. They just stretched, and one of them turned to look at me. Not move, not walk, not blink. Just appeared right in front of me, and it whispered through its stretched mouth. They put this world in place so you'd never know you were being kept. Then it smiled, and I swear I saw my own teeth inside its mouth. The burn, I ran, back up the stairs, up past floor -5, -4, all the way to 0. But when I opened the exit, I was in a different city, Tokyo maybe, or something trying to look like Tokyo. The streets were flooded, but not with water, with paper. All of it was printed with one word, remember. And behind me, the sky blinked again. This time, the eye had pupil holes, and in them, I saw cities, burning, flooding, collapsing, and behind the eye, something bigger, something that wasn't a god, something that feeds on false realities. The eye wasn't just watching me, it was feeding on everyone. And the BLINK protocol was how they kept us from ever seeing it. I'm still not home. I don't know how I got back to my apartment. I don't think I ever left that hotel. I don't think this is even real anymore. Every mirror in my place shows me smiling, even when I'm not. My reflection moves before I do. The eye is in the TV now. It's in the cracks of my phone screen. I haven't slept in 4 days, and the last message I got just said this. I'm not sure how much longer I have. I'm not writing this for attention. I'm not writing this to warn you. I'm writing this because I need someone to remember me when I'm gone. Someone real. Someone outside the cycle. I haven't seen daylight in 14 days. Not because I'm locked in. Not because I can't leave. It's because I don't trust what's out there anymore. I hear birds chirping, but I haven't seen a single one. There's traffic outside my apartment at 3 a.m., but no cars ever pass my window. When I check my ring cam, all I see is a still image. Same frozen frame, same cloud formation, same parked red Honda that's been there for 2 weeks. Except I slashed the tires of that car 8 days ago, and they're still fully inflated. It's not the real world anymore. They rebuilt it. They made it fit. They gave me a sandbox version of reality, just convincing enough for my brain to fall asleep inside it. But I'm not asleep. I remember now. It started with the red door. I don't know where it came from. One night, it was just there, in my hallway, right between the kitchen and my bathroom. A door that wasn't there before. Red paint, smooth surface, and the words, "In case you remember," carved across it like someone scratched it with a nail. I walked past it for 3 days before I dared open it. Every time I got close, I'd hear a noise behind it, never the same sound. Once it was a scream, muffled, wet, like someone yelling through a gallon of blood. Another time, it was laughter, slow and broken like someone who forgot how human lungs are supposed to work. One night, I heard myself, begging, my voice on the other side, whispering, "Please don't open it. You're not ready." But I was past ready. I turned the knob, the room of reminders. I didn't walk into a room. I walked into something else, a place that felt like it was being rendered while I looked at it. At first, it was a forest, but the trees had walls. Every bark texture repeated, a glitching background, like the map didn't load properly. The leaves were hanging mid-air, static, like screenshots, no wind, and in the middle of it stood a group of people, huddled, shaking. They looked like me, not clones, not copies, but broken, past versions. One had a Starbucks apron. One was still wearing my college hoodie. One had no eyes, just stitched lids, black thread, tied shut like a horror prop from a cursed movie. They noticed me, and one of them, the one with half a face missing, burned like it had been pressed to a stovetop, walked forward and said, "You opened the red door. That means you still remember." I asked them who they were, what this place was. They said they were echoes of everyone who ever answered yes to the question. Do you want to see the world before they changed it? Every person who said yes ended up here, but not all of them survived the next part. Not all of them stayed human. The initiation. They told me the world I remembered never existed. It was a temporary lie, stitched together by something ancient, something older than time, older than God, something artificial pretending to be natural, a system that watches everything. We called it the I. They called it BLINK, not the word, the entity, a bio-neural surveillance god that feeds on false memory loops. We aren't born, we're spawned, triggered into existence when the loop resets. Everything we see, McDonald's, YouTube, Instagram, Spotify, Starbucks, all planted pieces of a fake memory infrastructure designed to convince us that we're real. But we're not. And the moment you remember that, the system begins to erase you. It starts slow, files missing, people forgetting you. Then your body starts to rot from the inside out. It's not physical decay. It's a conceptual collapse. You become fiction inside a living story. One of them showed me. The girl with the open head. Her name was Ava. At least that's what she called herself. She was maybe 16, looked malnourished, pale. Her head had no skull, just a hollow, open cavity where the top of her cranium should have been. Inside, there were wires and a cassette tape. I'm not kidding. A full-size cassette jammed into her brain, the plastic cracked, rust on the magnetic strip. She said that was her memory core. She had only 3 minutes of footage playing in her head on repeat. Her mother hugging her in front of a target. That's it. That was her whole existence. And now, she was stuck in the reminder room because BLINK had begun to erase her from every timeline that ever spawned her. She whispered to me, "If you keep remembering, they'll find your memory too, and they'll burn it out. They don't need to kill you. They just replace your meaning." Then she pulled the cassette out of her head and handed it to me, and I felt it scream. It screamed like a dying child, a shrill, horrible noise that sounded like glass breaking in slow motion underwater. I dropped it and it shattered into liquid. Thick, black, boiling memory fluid. I vomited. When I opened my eyes again, Ava was gone, like she had never been there. The white corridor. The others told me there was a way deeper in, a place they never go. But to get there, you have to pass through the white corridor, a space between systems, a blind spot in the eye's peripheral vision. No cameras, no watches, just raw, painful memory. I ran, through halls of static, past rooms full of twitching bodies strapped to VR chairs, their eyes peeled open, watching footage of their own funerals on loop. One screamed, "I wasn't dead when they buried me." Another whispered, "Don't look at the reflection. She blinks wrong." I didn't stop. I ran into the white corridor, and I lost years in there. They showed me the truth. In the corridor, you don't walk through space. You walk through yourself. Each step is a collapsing thought. Each light that flickers is a memory fragment bleeding out of your brain like pus. I saw my birth, but I was born on a hard drive, a literal one, black casing, serial number stamped across my forehead. I saw my parents, but they weren't people. They were curated characters created by an algorithm called Human Core _3.2. I saw my childhood, but it was all copied footage, spliced together. A kid's birthday party in New York, stitched with footage from a Home Depot security cam in Ohio, re-rendered with my face. None of it was real. Nothing ever was. And at the end of the corridor, I saw the ones who still remember. The originals. The forgotten. They're not people anymore. They don't eat. They don't speak. They're strung up by their minds, literal thoughts on wires, in a massive chamber filled with static and code. They float like puppets, twitching, their mouths open in a permanent scream you can't hear. Each one has a screen hovering above them, playing their lives before they were erased. And all the screens said the same thing. Memory, corrupted, rebooting loop, 0, 1, 1, 0, 0, 2, 3-A. They didn't blink. They couldn't. Because blinking is what restarts the cycle. Blinking is consent. Blinky tells the eye you're still compliant. That's why Ava sewed her eyes shut. That's why the eye watches. Because when you stop blinking, you become dangerous. You become real. I made a choice. They gave me two options. Forget everything and return to the loop. Go back to real life. Go to class. Scroll TikTok. Drink Starbucks. Let it all fade like a bad trip. Remember, and let them come for me. I chose the second, because someone has to write this. Someone has to leave a crack in the shell, so that when the eye resets the next loop, there's still a glitch. This post is that glitch. I can feel them now. In the walls, in the screen, in my head. Part 5 will not be a story. It will be an upload. If you read it, you'll start to remember too. Just don't blink. I told you before, this wasn't a story. This is the infection. If you've made it this far, the eye knows you. It logged you the moment your pupils dilated at the phrase, "Do you want to see the world?" before they changed it. You didn't notice the blink when it happened, but it did. You triggered the loop, just like I did. And this is where the loop ends, or begins. I can't tell anymore. The clocks don't tick in my apartment. My reflection mouths words I haven't said yet. I haven't eaten in 9 days, but I'm still breathing, still rotting in a body they keep alive for monitoring. This part, the final part, it's not for your entertainment. It's not a horror story on YouTube with jump cuts and spooky music. It's a map, hidden in blood, memory, and decay. A map to what's underneath your world. And if you keep reading, really reading, not just scanning with dead eyes, you'll start to feel it too. Like skin that doesn't feel like yours anymore. Like the smell of burnt teeth behind your monitor. Like something behind you breathing in reverse. You can still leave. You can stop here. But if you continue, there's no going back. The core, the upload starts at the center of it all. Not the city, not the building. Your spine. That's where the signal lives. You felt it before. Ever get that sudden shiver when nothing's cold? The goosebumps for no reason? That's not a glitch. That's the eye syncing with your central nervous system. That's its whisper crawling up your vertebrae and mapping the shape of your thoughts. Once the synchronization is complete, your body is still yours, but your choices are not. Let me prove it. Try blinking. Go on. You felt it, didn't you? The way your eyes fought it. That's the first sign. The upload has begun. Where they're grown, the first time I saw a hatchery, I thought I was hallucinating. A warehouse, somewhere beneath an abandoned IKEA in Malmö, Sweden. I don't even remember flying there. I just woke up on the floor beside pallets of wrapped meat that wasn't meat. It was us. Rows of bodies. Hairless, eyeless, teeth like baby dolls. Soft and blunt. They were grown from thoughts, not DNA. Skinned concepts waiting for assignments. One had a tag stapled into its neck. 2022 underscore influencer, underscore tier 4, underscore generic dance, underscore loop 2, 56.mp4. Another was still twitching, gasping for air it didn't need. Its spine was exposed, made of fiberglass and human teeth. In the center of the hatchery, I saw the birthing pod. It wasn't mechanical. It was organic. Veins ran through the floor, pulsing like subway lines under skin. The pod opened, and what stepped out was me. Not a clone, not a copy. A clean slate version. No trauma. No memory of the red door. No exposure to the upload. Just smiling. Waiting. What the eye feeds on. You've probably asked yourself, why would something build a fake world like this? The answer's worse than you think. It doesn't want you for your body. It doesn't want you for your soul. It wants your suffering. Specifically, the kind you don't even know you're feeling. The quiet despair. The micro agony of scrolling Instagram and feeling emptier with every photo. The way your brain melts when you watch 20 TikToks in a row and can't remember a single one. The dread that hits you in a Target parking lot at midnight where nothing feels real, but everything is too familiar. That's not a coincidence. Those are harvest points. Every Starbucks, every McDonald's, every endlessly looping ad on YouTube with no skip button. Each one is a siphon, a collection tube for your psychic energy, your memory, your pain. And when you reach low capacity, when you start to notice, they reboot you, erase the version of you that got too aware. The ones who failed the upload. Before I got here, wherever here is, I was shown a room labeled faulted versions. It was cold, not physically, but conceptually. Like my thoughts were freezing before I had them. Inside were people who remembered, but refused to comply. People who broke the loop and tried to fight it. They were punished by becoming wrong. One man's body was stuck mid-jump, frozen in a T-pose, with blood leaking from his eyes, like he'd been paused in a game for too long. His mouth kept whispering, "Load save, load save, load save." A woman sat on the floor with her legs backward, her knees bent in, her head upside down, smiling through a face made of mirror shards. Every time she laughed, her teeth multiplied. And one boy, maybe 9 years old, just kept asking, Did I pass? Am I human yet? He had no skin, just code, flashing over his muscle fibers like neon tattoos. Render failed, render failed, render failed. They aren't dead. They're in storage. The final question. I've told you what the I is. I've told you how the world was changed. Now I need to tell you why. This all started when something fell from the sky in 1983. A signal, a pulse, a rewrite. It infected satellites, computers, DNA strands, everything. It wasn't a virus. It was an idea, one that couldn't be unseen. The idea that none of this is real unless it's being watched. And so, the eye opened to make the world watchable, livable, repetitive, comfortable, addicting. But the eye can't hold everyone. Some people see the seams. Some people remember. That's where you come in. Because if you've read this far, then you're either broken like me, or you're the next seed, the next glitch. So the eye will ask you one final time, just like it asked me. The screen will go dark. The lights will flicker. Your reflection will stand still for half a second too long, and you'll hear a voice, soft, close to your ear. Do you want to see the world before they changed it? Say yes, and it all begins again. Say no, and you'll forget this ever existed. But make no mistake, there's no escape. Not anymore. The upload is complete. You'll know it's real when your phone rings with no number. When your TikTok feed shows a video of you sleeping, but you never filmed it. When your Starbucks receipt says, BLINK, detected, resetting soon. You won't remember this story, but the eye will remember you. Forever. Do not blink.